Topic number one, news. How much does it suck? Seriously though, news sites, news channels, all feeding into people's bias, making them more polarized to the left or the right. And it's especially been bad this year with the presidential election. What do you think?
So, I mean, I'm gonna have to, like, for the first time ever, this is a bad way to start off a talk show. I'm gonna mislead a lot of people, but for the first time ever, I'm gonna have to agree with you. um, the problem
Well,
is
it's
that,
hard to argue against, really.
well, the problem is that you see more and more polarization. Um, the problem is that um, Trump has said, and he's done a lot of things that he should be vilified for. Um, However, whenever you kind of go into this hyperbole mode where everything is over exaggerated, it stops taking the spotlight on what it should be, and kind of takes the focus off. So, like for example, they had the that terrible tragedy in Turkey. 39 people either injured or killed. Um, Absolutely terrible. Something that should have been at the top of the news items. And um, even though I'm a little bit more of a conservative bent, I typically use CNN as my main news source. And the night it was happening, I had to go like 6 or 7 items down on the main page to even get to read about this terrible tragedy, because um, there's no more like conservative middle, or there's no more liberal middle. As far as the media is concerned, Fox News is as crazy right as it's always been. And then MSNBC is MSNBC.
Yeah.
um,
Ooh.
and so uh, it's really discouraging, because then you start seeing more and more kind of drifting.
Well, yeah. The Turkey thing I can kind of understand because it's national news.
Oh, I get
It's
it. So
not.
if it doesn't happen here, it doesn't matter. I
Well,
got
it won't be as high on U.S. news sites. Um, but something that should have been as high on U.S. news sites was the kidnapping of a mentally challenged boy
Oh,
by 4 teenagers. And that was also buried under a lot of Trump headlines. I
I,
mean, that's ridiculous.
that was pretty disgusting as far as that goes. Um, you know, it's it was obviously a hate crime. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. I firmly believe that it owed a certain amount of dignity, and you know, in the same way that if it had been, 4 white kids abducting a Hispanic, or an African American kid, I would have been horrified, and I was just as horrified in this case. And you're right. I mean, I remember hearing about it and going to CNN, and I had to go, a couple headlines down. Um, the fact is that you can only report fresh coverage on the same Trump story so often. I mean, there's been some good reporting, and I'll put some links in the video on this, on some that I've seen, but it's frustrating because there are legitimate things that Trump does that should get negative coverage. And then he says something on Twitter, and everybody goes and looks at his Twitter posts, and then genuine news is getting left behind. And, you'd think media wouldn't fall for it, but they do every time.
And,
Um,
and not to mention, confirmation bias is a big thing right now.
oh, yeah.
I think with websites and news channels, and people go to where they're going to hear what they want to hear. And especially with Trump's news conference the other day,
Mm-hmm.
um, you go to a place like Gawker,
Mm-hmm.
and they point out everything that he said in a negative light, no matter what it was,
Mm-hmm.
basically making fun of him for everything. But you go to a place like Fox News, and it's trumpeting everything he did as fantastic, as earth changing, as just the best thing ever. And that kind of does disservice to people, I think, because nobody's really getting a fair view of what he said.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, I think that sensationalism has definitely taken the front seat, and that analysis has really kind of gone back. Um, you know, it was really telling because I had the opportunity to watch the press conference that recently happened, and it was me and two colleagues of mine. One a avowed Democrat who contributes very much, and one a little bit more on the conservative, but an independent. And it was interesting because we all came away from it thinking, there were some high points and there were some low points. Um, the thing is that I'm trying cautiously to take a wait and see approach. I feel like there are some things I'm genuinely worried about that we need to, everybody, not just the media, but everybody needs to kind of, make sure we keep an eye on and stand up for if things go that way. But at the same time, um, I don't think that we should be saying, okay, well, this is already a failure. Um, there are certain things that are happening that I think are positive. I mean, the markets are reacting very strongly.
Well, the Trump tweets about certain companies.
Yeah, well, it's funny because, and I know offline, off the video, we've talked a little bit about this, and you said, well, don't think about it from a business perspective. From a business perspective, and as a businessman, I feel like Trump's going to be very good for my business. As a human being,
That's very fair.
And a father, I'm worried that my children are going to live in some Blade Runner future where they have to run for a mask.
I thought you liked Blade Runner, though.
I do. There's a small part of me that's like, well, man, if it gets me Harrison Ford into a new Blade Runner flick, that like
Harrison Ford's already in a new Blade Runner.
No, but like young Harrison Ford, we've got to just like I would trade the environment for managing to take Sean Connery and Harrison Ford, roll them back a little bit, and just 6, 7. Why can't Sean Connery be in a Blade Runner film? That would be a
I haven't seen Sean Connery lately. Does he look like he's looked since he was like 40?
Yeah, he's just cloned. I mean, it's somewhere between his abusive nature and his alcoholism. He's mummified into the Connery.
The alcohol has preserved him. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
got a little off topic here.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it. But to be honest, though, I just feel like not to harp on it, but I feel like we're genuinely looking at a period where there are some positive things that are coming about. There are some things I actually do agree with. Whenever during the campaign, I don't mind telling anyone this. I voted for Hillary. But during the campaign, whenever Trump, I can't remember exactly what he said, so I'm sure in the comments I'm gonna get hated, or since this is a new video, maybe future commenters will come back and hate me. But
honestly, everybody, Donald Trump says so much inflammatory stuff. It's difficult to keep up with exactly what he said on any given day.
Well, the one thing I liked that he said, when he was like, look, at Trump Tower, I don't care if you're a man or a woman or you're transgender, you can come and use whatever bathroom you want. And like the reason why I was afraid of Trump before going into the polling booth was because I feel like he was willing to say anything it took to get elected. And I think a lot of people realize that. And so I'm cautiously optimistic now that he's been elected, because I'm like, well, maybe he won't be terrible. Maybe he'll just be some carnival barker who just like, I don't know, gets steered the right direction by somebody else. But I was genuinely afraid of, I don't think anybody knows really what he truly believes. But like when he said that, I was like, well, maybe it won't be so bad. I'm very pleased that obviously, like the Muslim registration like has been completely walked back now, because that was an insane, terrible idea.
Yeah, that was just.
Um, you know, I do want to say this though. I hear a lot about like the alt right. I like to pride myself on being fairly moderate. I feel like there's the right extreme and the left extreme, and they're both equally as scary and they're both equally as active in this country. You've got a 10% and a 10%, or even a 15 and a 15 on either side that scares the shit out of me because this one's trying to kill you, even though they're trying to say that you can't kill your baby or whatever, and then this one's trying to kill you because of Mother Earth or something, or I don't know. But at the end of the day,
Wait, let's see. 15% and 15%. That's 30%. That's about exactly who voted in this election.
yeah, that's about what happened.
Um, we're to the point where only the extremes are voting, and that sounds about right.
Yeah,
Um,
that's how this happened. That's how Trump became
uh,
Trump.
Obviously, we need to be more engaged next time. Maybe we need to be more engaged in our political party's primaries.
It's funny because so I'm a Republican. I voted for Hillary, but I'm a Republican. I actually voted for Obama too, ironically. So maybe I'm like a terrible Republican. Uh,
You're a rhino.
yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, honestly, like his hoping shames, like you can call me naive, but like I was genuinely touched by that message, and I was like, you know what, I can get behind that, and so I voted for Obama, and then you know, this cycle came through, and then, all my favorite people. I was like, Jeb did some okay things in Florida. I'd be okay with Jeb. Rubio, he's young. I don't think he's
I
ready for the
like
prime
Marco
time.
Rubio.
Yeah, but I think he has a compelling story. I love that he had outreach to like the Hispanic community because honestly, as a Republican, as a Republican from Texas, you know, I was, and I'll say, I feel like I was blessed because I grew up in a family where, like, I knew racism happened, but, like, I didn't hear, like, terrible jokes inside my family. I didn't
Yeah.
have that exposure. And so, um, like, as a Republican, especially when I was younger, I'd say, you know, they have strong family values. It's a hardworking community. They believe in the American dream. I mean, that's hell. That's why they fought to get here. And I was like, why are we trying to keep them out? I mean, immigrants are what makes this country great. And all we're doing is pissing off a huge block of people who I feel like would naturally lean conservative if given the opportunity. And so Marco came around, and I was like, yeah, immigration reform. Don't tell everybody they're bad people just because they want to be an American.
Yeah, poor Marco Rubio. The immigration reform shot him in the foot.
Yeah, and it's terrible because I feel like the super progressives. I don't know. I feel like I need a more damaging name than that because I really don't like them. But like the people who you listen to 90% of their speech and they're like, okay, yeah, you kind of got some good liberal ideas, and then like you hear that one thing and it's like, whoa, let's not go that far. I feel like they have a lot of power inside the Democratic Party and their base and who they actually get up there, and I feel like the Republicans, Tea Partiers, unfortunately have a lot of power with the Republican Party, and it's no longer the party of Lincoln. It's no longer the party of progress and industrialization and uh, you know, um, I mean, there was a period where Republicans championed the environment, sadly, and that's no longer an issue.
I mean, I guess Marco Rubio is living proof that while not all Republicans are old, angry white guys, there are enough of them still left that it makes a difference.
But Rubio, I was like, okay, I can do Rubio, or I can do Jindal, or I can do all these people.
Yeah, Bob Jindal was good. I like Bob Jindal.
I was like, hell, I liked Huckabee before he drank too much Kool-Aid at Fox News.
I don't know. Huckabee was always kind of a little too far out there for me.
The first time he ran, I was a lot better than the second time. I was like, whoa, you hung out with the wrong water cooler at Fox.
Yeah, Huckabee always kind of reminded me of like John McCain after he lost the presidential election, how he had to go really conservative.
Yeah.
And it's just so like, why, John? You were that middle of the road Republican who reached across the aisle. Now you're just like any other Republican.
Yeah, trying to find the aisle.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a joke there that I don't want to make, because I want to be respectful to a person I actually do have respect for. But it's a crazy time we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
It's
And we've kind of speaking of trying to find something, we've wandered off topic.
well,
Um, so let's try and find our way back to our original topic, which was bias in the news.
I thought our original topic was extreme viewpoints in the news.
Thought it was. Never mind.
It
Doesn't matter
doesn't matter.
because we're gonna do a little course correction here.
Okay.
And we're gonna go back to Donald Trump. Shockingly.
Oh crap.
And,
Yes, the world
and
needs more
something
Trump.
else I read on the internet again. Shockingly.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, at least we know it's true.
Yeah. Oh Lord, yes. And better yet, my source is Gawker.
Oh god.
So you know this is straight from him to us
Well,
type thing.
Gawker doesn't exist anymore, thank God.
Well, Gizmodo, I guess,
Oh.
would be what it is.
I'd like to jump in there real quick, by the way. I don't know. I don't care how many people I piss off with this. If you are an organization that, for a cheap headline, outs a man who didn't feel comfortable being outed before, and then said man has a vendetta against you, don't be surprised or act like you're a complete victim.
Yeah. No, Gawker got exactly what it deserved, but that could be a whole nother conversation.
And then saved by Univision.
Of all people.
And it's funny because I was like, yay, Gawker is dead. And then, like, unfortunately, there was a diaspora of some, like, least favorite writers on the community went and infected their other communities.
Yeah.
And so you went from a very kind of independent bent on most of their blogs to now.
Yeah, super liberal.
Well, I mean, some things are just crazy, like was it Kotaku had the whole hissy fit over the Morana costumes, and it's like, oh well, because it wasn't flesh tone or whatever, and it's like, I actually felt bad because I have a friend, I won't mention his name, I'll say CM, has a granddaughter who was like interested in being able to dress up as a certain character, and now that's not an option.
It was the Maui costume that they had a lot of problems with all the tattoos and stuff. And my whole thing is, a kid that's gonna want that costume isn't gonna understand cultural appropriation. He's not gonna understand what's the difference between black and white or Hispanic and white or what have you. He's just gonna know that for some reason he can't be a character that he really likes. And I think that's kind of messed up.
I don't think, see, and here's the thing, that's not appropriation. Appropriation would be saying, okay, that's a cool character, we're gonna now make him a white guy. I mean, I felt like
well, not really. It is kind of like wearing the character's skin.
Well,
literally.
But I mean, honestly, I thought like the movie did a good job of embracing and showcasing that culture and honestly, something that I kind of like to go on one of my little Wikipedia digs where I kind of rabbit trail across the internet.
But I mean, that's the thing. Traditionally, Disney movies have been about European fantasy, right?
Yeah.
And as a result, it's gotten a lot of kids interested in European fantasy.
Yeah.
Now Disney's branching out. They're going to other mythologies.
Yeah.
And maybe if you allow your kids to put themselves in that culture, it would get them more interested in that culture.
Yeah.
And is that what we want? To be more culturally aware?
We want that. Some people just want headlines.
Some people just want to be angry about stuff.
I think so. I think that I think that genuinely 90% of people have like a common sense meter, and they say, okay, but this is how it is intended. And then some people wake up in the morning wanting to be offended. And I'm saying this both on the left and the right. There are some people who it would tick me off because they would wake up in the morning and they'd be like, oh, well, thanks, Obama. And it's like, and it's like,
To be fair, that was one of the greatest memes of the last 8 years.
yeah, it had a meme value, but it was frustrating because it's like he did make progress in a lot of areas. The economy, he was able to shepherd it through some tough times. Um, you know, I am a little frustrated that NASA kind of went on a bit towards climate science.
That whole NASA losing a lot of funding thing is gonna.
So I'm going to stop here because I don't want people to think I don't want to engage in climate science, but there is actually a government agency I will happily provide a link to in the comment area.
Yeah, check the description for the link.
Yeah, and that is supposed to study the climate and weather. So, I feel like he just kind of like cannibalized that because I'll admit it, I'm a nerd.
Noah.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like, he kind of cannibalized NASA because it's like, I'm a nerd. I'm devastated that, honestly, I feel like America is starting to fall behind the Chinese on some key milestones, and we're not really doing deep space exploration. The places I lived in, the communities I'm a part of, the Marshall and Johnson Space communities. Yes, you have these large, far-flung contracts, but you're talking about they just tested one of the main, engine boosters, and it's like having talked to some of the people, and hopefully I don't get anybody in trouble with this, but having talked to people who are like the safety engineers and some of the actual like flight controllers who work in these projects, we're so far away, and a big part of it is funding. I mean, I think that really funding should be, when it comes to science, when it comes to climate science, investing in, any kind of like STEM science, biotechnology. I mean, the more the merrier. And so I got a little frustrated. Sorry to get off topic, but I did get a little frustrated. NASA got a little
completely
cannibalized.
derailed what point I was going to make.
I don't care at this point.
I talked about my source, and then you went off on a tangent.
Okay, so
let you go.
Yeah, just live the dream. But that's a talk show, right? Or maybe this is a ramble show.
Yeah, that's what we're tending to do. Anyway, the point that I was gonna make a long time ago on a couch far, well, we're still on it.
Yeah, this is.
But the point I was trying to make about the Gawker article, or Gizmodo, or whatever the hell it is now. Thanks, Obama. Was that it was saying that Donald Trump had fired the people in charge of our nuclear arsenal, of the Nuclear Regulatory Committee.
Oh, yeah.
And it told them to clean out their desks, and that they were out of there and didn't have anybody to fill the position. He was just going to leave it empty. And that was the actual article. And they issued a correction later on that article saying that, oh, that's not true.
Yeah.
He didn't ask them to leave. He just didn't ask them to stay. And it's like, that's a big difference.
Well, and it's a political appointee position, and the NRC, having worked with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, just a small amount, I can tell you they're not going anywhere, folks. At least not for the next 10 years. Sorry. That's an offline joke I'm not going to go into. But we have rambled a little bit. But I think this is a good time to kind of close out the first topic.
Yeah, just a second.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to finish my point, if I
Oh,
could.
I thought you'd finished your point.
My point was they added the correction later, but they didn't publish a new article saying that, oh, wait, no, he didn't. Like they do with a lot of articles. They'll publish something and they'll say, oh, wait, no, such and such didn't do this. On the Trump thing, they just added a correction later.
Um,
It's hard to translate when you're focusing on those hunger pains.
yeah, I guess. So we've established we're talking about the Switch impression.
Uh, I don't know. I think it looks kind of neat. Um, I've always kind of wanted a tablet that I can play games on, like an actual tablet that I can play games on, I guess, as opposed to just a normal tablet where, I mean, the games are pretty much like tower defense and stuff like that.
You know, I agree with you, and I feel like that product was released circa 2006. I feel like we've got we've got the Galaxy Tab, we've got the iPad, we've got the NVIDIA Shield. All I'm saying is.
You mean the NVIDIA Switch, the Nintendo Shield?
I mean, honestly, if I was at NVIDIA, I would literally write during that press conference, or actually whenever it first dropped, the picture of what it looked like and what it did, I would have been like, the fuck? That's literally what I would have, because
apparently NVIDIA worked pretty closely with Nintendo on this, and they coincidentally decided to drop Shield development after it was announced. So, for all intents and purposes,
Nintendo got a whole lot of free R&D.
It is the NVIDIA Switch or Nintendo Shield or however you want to say that. But counterpoint to what you're saying, Joy-Cons though.
Okay, yeah. Except for the fact that like I could have you can actually use your PS4 controller. You can use an Xbox One controller on a tablet. You can actually, using the Xbox Companion app, stream from your Xbox to a lot of devices.
That are the sides.
Yeah, or I could use my freaking Surface Pro to stream, which I actually do this a lot. Because I'll play Madden and I'll be like, oh, look at me, I can play Madden in bed, haha, yay. And somehow not also piss off my wife.
No, I think I do think that's a big selling point though, the controllers on the side. Because it makes it more like a portable gaming machine, I guess.
Okay.
But that having been said,
I am a huge gadget guy. I have a Vive. I have the Gear VR. I have a whole lot of other shit. Any kind of gadget. I have an addiction. I will probably not be buying a Switch. They fooled me once. They fooled me with the Wii U, and I made the mistake and got that basic model, and then they had so many updates to it that the internal storage could not hold all the freaking updates to that freaking thing.
Yeah.
And
fun fact, then he was locked out of all the games he had purchased on that system because your games are tied to your system, not your account.
So yeah, so I had the basic white Wii U. I had an account. I did email Nintendo. I did call their reps. And they happily told me that I bought a brand new Nintendo Wii U with, the deluxe model or whatever, and that account was locked to that one, so my games were now stuck on my old shitty one. So I'm going to go through real quick the things I dislike about the Switch. Low resolution, I feel like the battery life is not going to last the 4 to 6 hours they're saying. I bet it'll be happy to last 2.5 based off of their past track record. I am not happy with the fact that it only has 32 gigs of internal memory starting off. I feel like that's terrible. I feel like a $300 price point for what amounts to a fancier version of a portable gaming system. I don't feel like there's a leap forward with graphics technology at all. I feel like they keep going down the path of we want to be unique, and sadly, unique is not always beautiful. Despite what the Disney shirt might tell you, there might be a reason why no one else is doing what you are doing.
All right, I'm going to counter a few of your arguments here.
Okay.
The battery life.
Yes.
2.5 hours is all I'm going to need anywhere.
That is ridiculous.
I mean,
I travel a lot. And you know what 2.5 hours buys me? It doesn't even buy me. Okay, it buys me from Huntsville to Atlanta. But if I go from Atlanta to Houston, or if I go from Atlanta to DC, that Nintendo Switch isn't going to make it through a single flight. Not one flight. I'm just asking for one little bitty flight. My gaming PC that has a 980M will last for 3.5 hours. So, if I can game with my 980M gaming laptop and get 3.5 hours, why the heck, whenever I'm doing something that's just purely like it's a portable, why? Why, John?
Well, I'm just going to say personally, that's enough for me.
That is enough time for you to take it off of your TV monitor and take it into your bathroom and then possibly kill yourself in your bath. That is all the time you have.
So, second thing that I like about the Nintendo Switch.
Is this a counterpoint or a pro?
This is a pro.
Okay, pro.
All right. I do like how the controller's set up. I do. I like how it's on the sides.
Let me see your hands. Can you put your hands up? Okay, now I get this. This has universally been the constant for all controllers. And someday we're going to talk about the Steam controller and how much I hate that piece of junk. But this is the universal constant. So, but like they're tiny. They're so tiny.
No. I don't mean using them like taking them off and using them like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm talking about actually being on the sides playing it like that.
But there's actually a little controller you can buy for. I know it's for the tabs, and I'll see if I can find a link in the description and maybe try to beat Nintendo to the punch and link it on Amazon. But there's a controller you can get that you can put on a tablet already that gives you a controller on both sides.
But like I said, I really like how that's set up. And I think, honestly, I might be the perfect person for this because I haven't had a Nintendo system for a while. I had a Wii, but I skipped out on the Wii U. I haven't had their portable systems since the Game Boy Advance SP, I think it was.
So what you're telling me is you're sad you missed all 7 games that were on the Wii U?
No, what I'm telling you is I've been gone long enough from Nintendo that all their old stuff is new to me again. So, I'll admit, I'm a little excited for the open world Zelda.
Okay.
The JRPGs look decent that are on it.
So I'm not a JRPG fan, but I do have to admit, the new Zelda and Mario games, and the whole, anything with Donkey Kong, I'm going to be a pushover for, but their launch date lineup of games and their first party release lineup looks suspiciously the same.
Yeah, well, I think it's been established by now that you don't buy a Nintendo system if you don't like their first party games. That's pretty much all that's gonna be there of note.
So wait, I just now thought of something, and we're gonna rabbit trail here. So I know you're a little bit more of a PlayStation fan than me. A little bit.
Been in the past, yes.
So with the PlayStation 4, they had the PS Vita, right?
Yeah.
And you could actually play.
God, that flip one that they showed off the prototype.
Yeah.
Looked so cool.
Well, you could couldn't you actually play your games on the PS Vita streaming from your PS4?
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is if you wanted a portable handheld that you could stream from from a console, and then also still play on a console. That happened. It was 5 years ago. Nobody used it, and it died sadly.
Yes, but this is different because Nintendo.
Nintendo, what others don't. Nintendo. There's a marketing slogan in there. First one's free Nintendo.
But I think you would agree with me if they had a Surface Pro.
Yes.
With the things on the side.
No.
Built for gaming from the ground up.
Nope.
You're just being contrary now.
I don't. I do not want my arms to be this far apart when I'm playing a game.
I think it's gonna be fine.
I like a little controller. I mean, I can hook my Xbox One remote up to my little Surface and stream from my Xbox. And
I don't think on a portable system that a separate controller and screen works. It just doesn't work for me.
Well, and I can honestly I can actually respect that, but for me, I mean, I like it because I can stream from my Xbox. It's surprising the games I can actually play on a Surface Pro.
But like I was saying before I was interrupted.
For the fourth time this episode.
If it was just like a regular Surface tablet.
Yeah.
But had the whatever you want to call them, controller parts on the side.
The Joy-Cons, right?
Yeah, Joy-Cons. And you could also watch your videos, do your if it's just desktop.
We'll find out.
All right, starting over.
So if you had a normal Joy-Con.
If you had the Surface Pro, you could watch all your stuff. You had your Joy-Cons on the side for gaming. And you could play all your PC games and everything. Use the Tegra chip just like the Switch does. Then that would be something you'd want to buy.
I could see somebody wanting to buy that. I mean, my only real concern, or my only thing that kind of bugs me about all this, is that Nintendo used to innovate. I loved. I mean, my first console was an NES. I grew up kind of a PC gamer, but my first console was an NES. I love the NES. I love the SNES. That freaking Star Wars game or SimCity on the SNES, man, that was my jam. But they used to innovate in concepts and technology. And, you know, with the Wii, honestly, I kind of liked it because, yeah, it was a little gimmicky, but they were thinking outside the box. And then the Wii U came along, and again, kind of a little gimmicky, but they were thinking outside the box, and it was still kind of new at the time. But now, they've literally taken something that other people have done several times before, and they haven't really added anything to it. I mean, it's like, I feel like Nintendo used to have a certain quality attached to it, and it's just not the same anymore. I mean, the graphics aren't as good. If you do happen to use it in tablet mode, it's like, I believe it's a 720p is what they said, right?
Yeah.
I can't believe that, I mean, anything is 720p anymore. You know, not to sound like a video snob or a resolution snob, but like, if I were to purchase a handheld gaming tablet that's one of the million kind of knockoffs that you can buy from China right now, and sometimes I buy those gadgets because they're just fun to play with for the 10 seconds they last.
Yeah.
If I were to buy one that was only 720p, I'd be like, well, this is a terrible knockoff. This is even a half good knockoff.
Well, you see, I think part of it is I'm excited about the games too.
Now,
and I'm less excited about that because, again, it's not a normal tablet. I won't be able to play my other games with them. And that's a bummer.
Yeah.
But I am excited for the new Zelda. I think it looks good. I'm excited for the new Mario. I think it looks good.
Mario Odyssey is going to be great. I mean, I'm actually.
I liked what I saw of the Xenoblade Chronicles game.
I'm not a huge fan of the Xenoblade series, but what I will say is when it comes to games, I agree with you, 100%. I like the game lineup they had as far as the Nintendo releases, but I mean, there's a part of me that just almost feels like Nintendo might as well go the way as Sega because Sega, I like Sega as a publisher. I do. You know, they don't really do their own internal games anymore, which I feel is sad. But as a publisher, though, they curate good content. You know, Aliens in Isolation, the Total War series.
I thought you were gonna say Colonial Marines. I'd have to punch you straight in the face.
You know the heartbreak that was Colonial Marines for me.
Oh
I
God.
loved co-op games. I loved AVP. And I was like, oh, Colonial Marines, I'm so excited. I'm so giddy. I'm like a little
I
school
was
girl.
so looking forward to that. You remember early in development how they were like, you'll get to make your own Marine and customize them however you see fit.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when the game comes out, you get to customize your gun. Laser sight that points straight ahead.
Into my heart is what it points to.
I've got to like point that out on a video.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have the laser sight on your gun, and the laser is pointing straight ahead, and then there's the dot in the center, and it's all like it doesn't line up. They're you have a laser pointing up in this direction, and the dot's right here. It doesn't line up.
I'm going to say this unequivocally. AVP2 is one of the best games ever made. I'm not going to put any kind of things on that. I'm not going to say there's no exceptions. It's one of the best games ever made. I'm not really sure how we got to here, but I'm much happier talking about AVP2 than I'm talking about the Switch because I will not be buying the Switch. If a Switch is in my household, it is because one of the three things that depend upon me for support at any given time have tricked me into buying them in their tiny little hands with probably smiles and hugs because I'm a sucker. Because it's not for me. I mean,
I'll probably end up getting one, but it won't be anywhere near launch.
Yeah.
Like I said, if it was a regular tablet that also had the Tegra processor that would let me play games on it, and it had the controllers on the side, that would be something I'd be interested in like day one.
Well,
but as it is, it's only a portable Nintendo system. I'm not as excited about it as I could be.
well, and what I am gonna say, when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, I just don't have that confidence level. Like I have a PS4 and I have an Xbox One, and I enjoy both. I do enjoy using I use my Xbox One a little bit more, but I do use my PS4. That's actually the one that's in my room. But what I will say is that I didn't have a problem buying either of those at launch. With the Switch, with it being something that has to go in and out of a cradle, with it being something that now they got away with the Wii social community. They're gonna do a new online thing. They're gonna start charging for that. Yeah. I get that they're not charging for it for the first 6 months, but just with my experience with the Wii U, I mean, I have gig internet access, pretty much. Well, you know, almost. And it's so slow that we use the Wii U. I mean, the Xbox One downloads super fast. PS4 super fast. I can stream on both of them. The Wii U, hey, I wanna download Super Mario Maker. I have to watch Mario jump 1,000,000 times. What would it kill them to give me a fucking loading bar?
You see, I don't have that problem because, like I said, I haven't bought a Nintendo console in a while. So, I don't have any of that frustration. Well, my Wii was never even online. So, I don't know how good or bad their online service
Didn't
is.
You get a Wii, like, with your car?
Yes. It remained plugged in for a little while. So, like I said, I haven't had or played a Nintendo system in a while. I think I might be due.
There is a car dealership in Texas that is still handing out free Wiis with their cars.
But yeah, so let's talk about something else that's going to make you a little more happy. Price points.
Oh, with the Wii U, or I mean, sorry,
The
the
Switch.
Switch.
Yeah.
So,
The Nvidia Switch.
there were some rumors out there that it was going to be between 250 and 300. I feel like 250 would have been the perfect price point for it. I feel like uh, I don't like the $300 price point. I feel if it was at 250, 200 to 250, I think I might take the plunge eventually on it, just because it's like, what do I have to lose?
Yeah.
But something about it, just like hitting that $300 mark, has it in my head to where it's like the Switch versus a basic PS4 or Xbox One,
Yeah.
and I just don't feel like the value is the same.
I'm not gonna lie, the $300 stings, but what's worse? That
All right.
goddamn Pro controller for $70.
Oh yeah, isn't each Joy-Con separately like $40 as well?
Yes, the tiny little thing that goes on the side of the Switch is $40. A pair of them, $70.
Yep.
$80, something like that. A Pro controller, $70.
Yep.
And it's all like, yeah, okay, I get it. There have been expensive controllers before. The Elite controller for your Xbox One or PC is gonna set you back $150, but that actually has features.
Well,
That has customizable bumpers. That has a lot of different parts that you can switch out.
it's weighty.
It's customizable. The Pro controller looks like just a regular plastic piece of shit. I mean,
So here's actually where I'm gonna go full on. So whenever me and my family played, and if I was playing on the Wii U, it was because it was with my family or with a group of friends when we were playing a party game. That's the one thing I loved about the Nintendo consoles. You had Mario Party, you had the kart racing games, all that stuff. They were great games. Those party games were what made the console for me, and I enjoyed them. Um, with the Switch, it's going to come with those two little controllers. And yes, I get that you can take them off and have two tiny, tiny controllers that two of you can play with. If I want to add another person to my mix, I've either got to buy a extra right or an extra left, which adds like a certain weird complexity to me because I'm kind of OCD. I like things to be symmetrical, and it's having an extra
yeah.
right is just gonna make me go crazy. Um, or I'm gonna have to shell out for $70 Pro controllers, and that's if
Yeah.
I can even have like me and three people each with their own Pro controller on the same console.
So you get your the the Nintendo Shield,
Yeah.
and it comes with the two Joy Cons for $300. You want to have four-player Mario Kart? You've got to get two more Joy Cons. That's 80 more bucks. So now you're up to $380, and then you want to play Mario Kart, of course. So you're gonna have to buy Mario Kart. That's at least another 20-30 bucks. You're looking at over $400 for that.
My favorite games have always been the Mario Party series. Well, of late. Or at least maybe not favorite. That's not a good idea. My most played games typically are the Mario Party games, and I did like that they said that you can kind of play it in a LAN mode type thing. You can have multiple ones all configured locally. I'm a huge fan of co-op. You know that. Anyone who's ever heard me talk knows that. People on the side of the street who are unfortunate enough to talk to me know that. What bugs me though is that um, I feel like with the Switch, if I really want to enjoy playing on it, I've got to you've got to have like the actual whole get up. You know, it's not
Yeah.
like with a Mario. It's not like playing Mario Party 8 on the Wii U where one person had the main control and everybody had a little stick thing, and everybody was happy with that, and it felt kind of even still.
And
So
I didn't have a. I had a Wii, but I never really played it that much. How much were the extra controllers for that?
depends on if you got first party or a knockoff. But about and if you got a Motion Plus or not, but about $30 to $40. Um, but they also felt weighty, and there was a little bit of like heft to them. Like I'm just not impressed with the Switch as a whole. I mean, after I have more time with it, um, you know, we might be in a video a year from now, and I'm saying, you know what, I was totally wrong. I'll admit it if I'm wrong, but just so far, I have not been impressed so far.
Yeah, I think the biggest things keeping me away from launch purchase are one, not a regular tablet, can't play my games, which obviously it's a Nintendo console. Um, so less value, and two is the price point. That's just, I mean, it just some of the peripherals are ridiculously priced,
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna support that.
I agree. So,
I mean, I'll buy a Epic gaming mouse for like $300, but that's completely different than buying uh, one of those pro controllers that
wasn't Xbox Live talking about going free, by the way, or supporting a free version?
maybe, but I can't.
I can't remember. We're gonna have to
Uh,
take a look.
I wouldn't think that that would be very good though,
Yeah, I mean, I just
as
recall
compared to the
Lenovo Gold.
yeah,
Yeah,
because didn't they have a silver tier that was free at one point?
they did, and I heard a rumor that they were thinking about doing something similar again. But to be honest, with my Gold, I always wait until there's a sale and I pick it up. And for like $50, I get a year of great service. I've always been happy with Xbox Live.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I get 4 free games a month. I mean, unfortunately, life gets a little hectic sometimes, so I don't get to play games as much as I want. But it's great to be able to look at my library and know that I got 48 free games in a year. Even if half of them are trash,
Well,
there's always those little diamonds.
speaking of trash, I haven't checked for Steam Crate yet, but
Oh, that's this weekend.
that is this weekend.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steam Crate, but so far you have been trash.
I've gotten 2 good games off of Steam Crate, so worth the price of admission for me. Obviously, they don't care about you as a human being.
Yeah. I just think it's weird that console manufacturers expect you to pay them money to be able to browse their online storefront. I think that's weird. And as a primary PC gamer, I wouldn't pay to be able to browse Steam. I wouldn't pay to be able to browse Origin.
But you do pay to browse Steam. There's a little piece of your soul that's missing that Gabe owns now.
Think Gaben, yeah, Gaben owns part of my soul. That's true enough. But I don't want to hear shit from you because you own a Vive.
Yes, but I love my Vive. And it was a good purchase, and I enjoy it a lot.
Every time you use it a little bit more, your soul out through
There's just none left to take.
dies.
There's,
Oh.
it's it's just funny because Steam happened and it kind of jumped on the scene, and I remember like whenever Steam first came on board.
God, I hated Steam when it first came out.
I still kind of hate Steam. I think their technical support and their customer service is terrible.
Well, yeah, it's not great, but I do remember when it came out.
It's like that
What
hateful
game was it?
relationship.
What game was it that I bought?
Everybody was like, "We hate DRM. We're gonna try to crusade against DRM. We're not gonna use DRM." And then Steam came along, and everybody's like, "Well, we'll be okay with this DRM."
I think it was Sin the game or something like that.
Soul Empire, amazing game.
And it had Steam packaged with it. No, it was the first person shooter Sin.
Oh.
I got that for like $20. The sequel to that nobody played and is a pretty bad game.
Yeah, Sims was off of
But anyway, it came with Steam, and I was like, "This is horrible. I hate this." It was way back when we were still living in Texas.
I remember Napoleon Total War had Steam where I had to install it off the CD. I was like, fuck this, I have a CD and you're making me install it off of so and
God,
so.
oh, that pissed me off so much when I bought Skyrim, my physical copy of Skyrim, and it was basically a download code for Steam, a glorified download code, because like you take it home, you put it in your CD tray, and it prompts you for your Steam login,
Yeah.
and you log in, and then it downloads the fucking game, and we're like, what the? And that was when I was living off satellite internet. I was like, what the hell? I bought the physical copy for a reason.
It's
And now, of course,
yeah.
Skyrim's not gonna work without Steam. So if Steam ever goes away, then there's Skyrim.
It's frustrating because Steam has made itself kind of indispensable now, and it is a little frustrating. I mean, I know we're going on a rant here, but like I know I'm going to sound a little old school here, but I genuinely miss the days of um, opening a game case and having an awesome thick user manual to be able to page through. I remember
You remember Neverwinter Nights manual?
Oh, I will
God
see you one.
damn.
The original tribes. The original tribes. I remember to this day, my father took me to the store and he was like, "Are you sure you don't want Deer Hunter?" And I was like, "Oh, Dad, I've never hated you more." And then I went and got tribes because I was a good person. And I love my father. He was just messing with me, but he knew better. But anyway, so I took that tribes. I got in the car and reading that little thing, and I still remember like they had children's rhymes about like the war and how everybody died and this and that and stuff, and like the artwork and everything. Like same with Baldur's Gate, Icewind
Fucking
Dale.
World of Warcraft when it came out had that